Sorry about the pause. I wanted to make sure we were recording. Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Ayabami Bell Torrance, and I am the Outreach Manager for DDOT. Just want to thank you all for joining us tonight for our monthly community input meeting. A special welcome for anyone that is joining us for the first time. Of course, we value this opportunity to hear your comments and questions and look forward to sharing our updates. But first, I would like to turn it to our Interim Executive Director for opening remarks. Mr. Staley.
Thank you, Ms. Torrance. Not much in the way of opening remarks. Just would reiterate what you just said. Welcome to everybody. Appreciate your time and attention tonight. We look forward to providing you with some updates on some critical matters and welcome your input. So with that, I will turn it back to Ms. Torrance. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, that means it's time now for our meeting rules, which are quite simple. No personal attacks or foul language will be tolerated. That's verbally or in our chat once that is open. We do ask that you please respect the time limit of 2 minutes during our public comments. You will be muted for going over. And if time allows, of course, you will have another opportunity to speak. Also know by participating in the Zoom meeting, you are granting permission for your name, image, and likeness, as well as audio and video recordings to be used by DDOT. So before asking a question or commenting, please be sure to unmute your audio, state your name and organization, and following your comments, mute your audio. By participating in the Zoom meeting, you are granting permission for your name, image, and likeness, as I mentioned earlier, as audio and video recordings to be used by DDOT, but also to request to comment, you can simply raise your hand. If you are using the dial-in only phone option, enter *9, and that will serve as the raise hand feature to request to speak or ask a question. Of course, you'll be able to submit questions or comments to DDOT staff in the chat once that is open. We're going to start first with DDOT when it comes to the Improved Detroit app. So if you didn't know, we have had this feature for about a year, but this is a great opportunity to remind you of it. So DDOT wants to remind and encourage you that if you would like to report shelters that need our attention, as including issues like cleaning, broken glass, missing or broken benches, please report it on the city's Improved Detroit app. Now, if you don't already have the app, you can download it from the Apple Store or Google Play. Now we're going to show briefly a brief tutorial that will show it is also available on the Improved Detroit website.
It's 4 easy steps to report any issue to the city using the Improved Detroit app. Download the app from the App Store or Google Play. Start by clicking on the orange button. Including a photo is very helpful. Choose one from your phone or snap one on the spot. Submit a request as a guest, or if you want updates, register or sign in to an existing account. Help improve Detroit. Download the app today.
Kristen, the sound played, but I don't think the video advanced that time. I was listening for the sound.
Oh, okay. The sound did work?
The sound did work. This is one of those, it worked earlier, so now it's messing with us.
It's
okay, there we go.
4 easy steps to report any issue to the city using the Improved Detroit app. Download the app from the App Store or Google Play. Start by clicking on the orange button. Including a photo is very helpful. Choose one from your phone or snap one on the spot. Submit a request as a guest, or if you want updates, register or sign in to an existing account. Help improve Detroit. Download the app today.
Okay. Give me one moment to get that situated, please. Okay, are we back up?
We are back up.
Awesome.
Okay. Sorry that brief. We just wanted to give everyone an opportunity to see that video. But again, if you did have issues or would like to see it again, it is on the Improved Detroit app. But also, if you need to see the bus shelter issues, once again, you will confirm that location specifically for DDOT. You'll scroll to the City of Detroit section, and then you will select bus shelter issues, and it will look a little bit differently if you're using an iPhone or Android. And speaking of bus shelters, the replacement shelter program is beginning the installation process for the first 60 shelters. Now, this will take several months, but we are happy to report that progress is underway, and the following shelter locations have been completed. That's Dexter and Finkel, West Grand Boulevard and Rosa Parks, West Grand Boulevard and 14th, that's westbound, and West Grand Boulevard and 2nd. And you're taking a look at what they'll look like. That's one of the shelters. And also there are plans, of course, for 100 more shelters. That's a mix of new and replacements to be installed within the next 2 years. Now, locations for new and replacement shelters are selected and prioritized based on DDOT's Title VI program plan, which incorporates service standards for bus stop amenities. You asked, we answered. We'd like to point out that a passenger informed us of a missing westbound bus stop sign that was at Clark and 4th Street. And we were able to report tonight that that sign has been replaced. So it's a reminder that we are receiving your feedback and we're working on it. So we would like to thank you for your patience as we continue to work and address issues and concerns that are reported to us. Moving now to the proposed service changes, enhancements for January 2025. Starting with for Woodward, to improve daytime frequency to every 12 minutes on weekdays and downtown routing, changes to layover on Times Square at Rosa Parks Transit Center. And here's just a little brief look at the map of what that would look like. And of course, this information will be online and we will have more information later as well. So moving more into that, for the Michigan to Michigan 5 Van Dyke Lafayette and 31 Mac. The effort is to improve daytime peak frequency to 20 minutes on weekdays, to improve midday base to every 15 minutes on weekdays. That's for the 3 Grand River, 7 Mile, and 10 Greenfield. The 1 Verner and 5 Van Dyke Lafayette, the 45-minute daytime frequency on Sundays. And we're going to improve Saturday daytime service to every 20 minutes for the 3 Grand River, 6 Gratiot, and 7 Mile. The 17 8 Mile for those enhancements to improve midday base service to every 20 minutes on the weekdays. The 18 Finkel, improve daytime frequency to every 40 minutes on weekdays. And 8 Warren, 30-minute daytime frequency on Saturdays and 45-minute daytime frequencies on Sundays. For the 29 Linwood, the improvement would be a 50-minute daytime, 7 days a week. And for the 23 Hamilton John R., the improvement would be 45-minute peak weekday service. Now for Saturday and Sunday span improvements, most will run from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. And you'll see there's several routes, but I'll go over them. 12 Conant, 13 Connor, 15 Chicago Davison, 18 Finkel, 23 Hamilton, 27 Joy, 29 Linwood, 30 Livernois, 38 Plymouth, 39 Puritan, 41 Schaefer, the 42 Mid-City Loop, 43 Schoolcraft, 52 Shame, 54 Wyoming, 67 Cadillac Harper, and 68 Chalmers. Again, that's Saturday and Sunday span improvements, and most will run from 7 in the morning to 9 at night. Also improve weekday peak performance frequency from 20 to 15 minutes. And this is a look back of what the changes that we've already done in June. So a reminder in case you missed it or weren't aware, for the 3 Grand River, 7 Mile, and 10 Greenfield, we improved the weekday peak frequency from 20 to 15 minutes. And then the 8 Warren and 60 Evergreen, we improved the weekday peak frequency from 30 to 20 minutes. So hopefully you have noticed those changes. And of course, in June, the timetables for the routes serving the Jason Hargrove Transit Center were adjusted for more accurate and reliable service. And those are the 4 Woodward, 17 8 Mile, 54 Wyoming, 12 Conant, and 30 Livernois. Now, improved weekday frequency also from 60 to 45 minutes on 11 routes. And I won't go over those, but those are on the website, and which is the full list of June service changes, including more details on the proposed January service changes also are available. So I know that was a lot of information, but don't worry, we will be having a public hearing and we'll be able to go over that more in detail, but we wanted to introduce it tonight so that you can be prepared. And speaking of that, that will take place on October 17th. That will be in place of our normal community input meeting. So before that time or afterwards, you will be able to submit comments, and you can do that through email, d.comments@detroitmi.gov. You can also mail those comments in. Detroit Department of Transportation, attention, January 2025 hearing, 100 Mack Avenue, Detroit 48201. Again, this information is already on our website, and more flyers and information will be circulating soon as well. So let's turn now to our DDOT TEO status. So DDOT currently has 468 active operators and 30 inactive operators. Moving to DDOT paratransit. DDOT Now update. The pre-proposal conference was held on Monday, August 19th. 10 vendors attended. Questions were submitted by prospective bidders by the due date of Friday, that was August 23rd, and answers were provided to the OCP on Tuesday, the 27th. Now, technical and pricing proposals are due by Monday, that's September 23rd. The start date for DDOT Now is Monday, January 6th, and that's pending Detroit City Council approval. We also want to give an update on the interactive voice response, that IVR, that is a pilot project for ADA service, that day before notifications to be sent out, and same day alerts of 15 to 20 minutes before the vehicle arrival. Now, the target date is also January of next year, and pending Detroit City Council approval. Moving to DDOT in the community, while of course we didn't have our community meeting last month, but we were still out there. So here's just a few shots of some of the events that we attended at Wayne State University and also the East Side Community Network Transportation Fair. That leads us to our upcoming meeting. As I mentioned before, the DDOT public hearing on those January service changes will take place Thursday, October 17th at 5. The local advisory council meeting, that next meeting will be Tuesday, November 19th. That's at 10 a.m. And then our next regular community input meeting will be Thursday, November 21st, same time as usual at 5. That is all the updates I have from this presentation. Of course, you can please stay tuned on our website, detroitmi.gov/DDOT. And we encourage you to follow us on social media for the latest. That's Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter @RideDDOT. I'm gonna, as we prepare to turn it over to public comments, just give us some brief moment as we transition.
Ms. Torrance, one quick update. I know it was late while we were doing preparations for the slides for tonight, but we did graduate 38 new TEOs today. So that puts up the active number to 506. So good job by Safety and Training Department. We've got approximately 103 students currently in various stages of training.
Thanks so much for that. There's great news to report. The chat is now open, Kristen, and I'm going to pull up the timer. Okay.
Okay. Mr. Cunningham, you can be you can lead us off.
I am.
Okay,
Hello,
go ahead. Yes, go ahead.
can I get 2 minutes back? I'm sorry. Is there any dignitaries in this meeting? How many people are in the meeting? We need to do hybrid meetings. People have been requesting that from me, that they have hybrid meetings again, maybe from Rosa Parks Transit Center. There's a Miss Billingsley, she should be online, and she's talking about some paratransit issues, which paratransit is doing really well. But I like to know the on-time performance. The on-time performance for DDOT is still hovering around 70. And that is great news that you have 38 TEOs graduating today. That is great, great news. So I was curious about the thought of when I laminate the flyers about the input meeting and other meetings. I was wondering if you guys had started taking those to the libraries and putting them near the area where the schedules are being posted. And also, you know, at the transit centers. I see all the things that they have done. They have the onboard signage. Hargrove and Rosa Parks has signage about the LAC meeting and also about the input meetings. I see you. I see y'all doing it. But again, about the posting up near the schedules there in the libraries. I've done a few myself and they've posted it up. So basically, dignitaries, how many people are in the meeting? Yeah, that's it.
Got 34 attendees and 17 panelists. So that's various administrators, staffers, etc. I don't see that anybody has identified themselves as a dignitary.
And if I could, in the last couple of
Is
weeks.
there any way you could tell me if you guys are still having the meetings put on cable TV? Is that still the case? And what is the on-time ratio? And I'm gonna let it go there. The on-time ratio.
I'll let you guys talk about cable, then I'll do on-time performance real quick.
We did not stop the cable, so it should be, as far as our knowledge, we can check into it, but it's not something that we stopped. So it was something that should continue.
And let me talk about on-time performance if I could, just a little bit. So the last couple of weeks, we produced weekly metrics that are shared internally, and then with the Public Health and Safety Standing Committee as one of our 8 KPIs on a quarterly basis. On-time performance still is well below the service standard of 85%. Last couple of weeks, it's been about 66% across the board. Combination of factors. One is vehicle availability. So one of the major impacts on on-time performance is if we have to cut blocks out of the service, or if we have to delay departures from either Gilbert or Shoemaker terminals. Obviously, that's going to have a direct impact on on-time performance. So as we continue to increase the TEO headcount, we'll be able to expand our extra board, which will allow us to have more standby coverage and virtually eliminate any kind of cuts or waits based on driver availability. Our goal is to get up to and maintain a minimum of 200 revenue vehicles available for weekday service. Right now, we're lingering around 180 to 185. Our vehicle maintenance department is working on getting that number up. That will also help to improve on-time performance. The other thing you should be aware of is we do have an active service reliability committee with 5 working groups We've identified what we've called the dirty dozen, the 12 worst performing routes from a service reliability point of view, and also the 25 drivers that are performing well below the standard. We've got a combination of efforts in that regard. One is increased service monitoring out on the street by the service inspectors. The other one is through the control center. What we are, our first aim is to eliminate the early part of route performance. So if you figure that we're doing about 66%, the service standard's 85%, so we're about 19% substandard. We've identified that about 7% of that are early operating blocks. That's can be directly controlled by the control center. We're looking at the early part of the service to eliminate that, improve on-time performance by approximately 7%, and then step up our service monitoring, focusing primarily on those 12 routes and those 25 drivers to see if that remaining 12% late service we can improve upon as well. We recognize that when we're late, you're late to the job, to the school, to the doctor's appointment, whatever the case might be. We are not pleased with where we are right now, but we're going to continue to work it from the TEO point of view, from the vehicle availability point of view, and from active service monitoring.
Mr. Staley, is there any way possible the buses that are broken, and you're short on mechanics, can you get private contractor mechanics? Is that a violation of the contract, or you know what I'm saying? Like come outside the union to get some of that mechanic work done. I was just curious.
No, that's a good question. It would be something outside of the collective bargaining agreement, and I'm sure that there would be plenty of pushback from the bargaining unit. Mr. Joy, what's the current count on general automotive mechanics?
We currently have 83 general auto mechanics active.
Okay. So while we're not fully staffed, we're a lot better off than we were a year ago. I think we were somewhere in the below 70 on general automotive mechanics. So we've been able to recruit and hire and actually train, because oftentimes we've got general automotive mechanics that are coming in with some basic skills, but obviously there's a specialized set of skills required for 40-foot or 60-foot transit coaches. So we will continue to do that. One of the other things I need to point out, because this is, while it's within the control of vehicle maintenance, it's a reality here at DDOT. We've got 45 vehicles in the 2012 segment of the fleet that are literally at the end of their useful life. So the FTA defines the useful life of a transit coach at 12 years or 500,000 miles. And so while the bus procurement is underway for the replacement of the 2012 fleet, we've got 45 vehicles. Half of those vehicles are down on any given day, just as a reflection of how long and how hard they've run. So that's one of the things that we're up against. We will try to expedite. Mr. Joy and his group did a really good job on the procurement front, finding a bus purchase contract that we could piggyback on and kind of move up in the line, if you will, on that contract. But reality is that those replacement vehicles for the 45 2012s are not going to be in here till the summer and fall of 2025.
Great, thank you. Our next hand up is Mr. Pawlowski.
Good evening. Can everyone hear me well?
Yes, go ahead.
Awesome. My connection's going in and out, so I just want to make sure. Thank you again for the wonderful report, Mr. Staley and the DDOT staff. I'm very impressed to see all the work. My name is Robert Plum.
I think he did.
So I don't really want to get too much in the weeds. I'm very happy to see a lot of the plans that were trying to implement over the next few months, especially the January service changes, and also working more to fix a lot of the bus stops in the city and be able to improve infrastructure and working with city council on a ton of different projects related to paratransit. So I'm very grateful to seeing all the progress being loaded on and just seeing it progress into the next year. The only question that I would probably propose is there a plan in the Southwest Detroit portion of the city to replace a lot of the bus shelters, get new bus shelters, like for example on Ford Street, on Livernois, and potentially looking at rerouting some other routes to serve better destinations and have improved frequency once we get into the new year. Those are the only questions I have. I think, really focusing on other portions of the city where it's really, high demand is really the biggest key to improving this service. I know it's DDOT reimagined stuff, but, as a temporary fix, we need reliable service, not just in all portions of the city. I mean, all portions of the city. Look at Southwest Detroit. The only actually good route is One Verner and Michigan when it wants to show up. But you also have key routes that are very priority too. When are we going to start to see improvements in Southwest Detroit for a lot of riders there and other areas where they're very marginalized and don't have frequent service like other parts like 7 Mile? Those are my questions. But other than that, wonderful plan. I give big credits to the DDOT staff and you, Mr. Staley, for a tremendous job. And I look forward to seeing more great progress. Keep up the good work.
Okay, so I can address a lot of those questions now. If you saw the presentation a few minutes ago, we have been improving some of those routes in Southwest Detroit. And also things like the One Vernon rolling once an hour on Sundays, we're taking care of that gradually. But we want, of course, we want ridership to go up. And as far as shelters go, those also depend largely on ridership. We have a point system to determine whether a bus stop warrants a shelter. And I believe there may be a couple in the next batch. Jonathan might be able to address that, or Ricky if they're here.
Yeah. As Steve said, we go by the Title VI service standards, which goes by a point system. I can look up and get back to you, Robert, based on the shelters in Southwest Detroit. We're not sure about shelters beyond this 60 ad shelter project that we're doing this year. For the 100 shelter project in, 2025 and 2026, we are still working on the locations. So we can get back to you on that as well. I hope I answered all your.
You answered all my questions, and I definitely look forward to hearing your follow-up. I just wanted some clarification on a lot of the route plans in some of these areas, because like I said, investment, we got to keep that investment going. But other than that, thank you so much. I don't want to take too much of your time up.
And I think Ms. Torrance mentioned it earlier, but in that in October meeting, which will serve as a public hearing as well, we'll do a comprehensive review of all the service changes that have been implemented in the current calendar year and the ones that are projected for January of 2025, so that everybody can see exactly how many routes had improvements either in the frequency of the service, the days that they operate, or the span of service as well. So we'll do that in a comprehensive fashion in October.
You are pulling a lot of double duty, Mr. Staley. I commend you for it.
Thank you. Mr. Verse, yours is the next hand up. Oops, 1 second. Okay, you should be able to speak now.
Oh, come on. Okay.
Yep, there we go. We can hear you. Go ahead.
Finally, Larry Donald Verse, Detroit People's Platform, a couple of other organizations. Good evening, and I'm going to try to keep this short. I have basically 3 questions. One is about the inside of the Rosa Parks Transit Center being closed at odd hours, like 8 o'clock in the evening and stuff. And there's a serious problem there because it's one of the only public toilets in that area. And considering that it's hot sometimes, It's a good place. That's about the only drinking fountain in the area also. Also, it needs to be made clear because a lot of people are beginning to wonder and express concern that maybe Rosa Parks isn't being taken care of because they're going to close it now that they have Jason Hargrove. Can somebody please clear that up, especially why it's being closed and it's empty on the inside in the lobby? And there's nobody there except maybe one person at one time. Another question is, well, clearly there's a shortage of mechanics. Now, what about other maintenance staff? And concerning that, along with that is, how long does it take to get the parts to repair the buses? The third question is clarity on the updates on the Saturday, Sunday changes that buses, some buses will be running from 9 to 7. Most will be running from 7 a.m. to 9 in the morning at night. He said most. Does that affect buses that are already running on the weekend, but not till 9, but till 7 and to 7 o'clock in the evening and 8 o'clock in the evening on Saturday and Sunday? Thank you.
Can we do these in reverse order? So we'll start with Mr. Patrick on the span of service, and then Mr. Joy can comment about, just in general, about whether supply chain issues have been, how large of a problem that is. And then I'll discuss Rosa Parks briefly.
Okay, Steve Patrick, Service Development and Scheduling. So the routes that were listed for the span improvements, they are routes that do not currently go from 7 in the morning until 9 p.m. on weekends. Okay, so we are expanding the service span on those routes by adding earlier and later trips. So with the goal being to have weekend service earlier and later. So we have some routes that don't start service until 8 or 9 in the morning on weekends, and some that end at like 7 o'clock. I know in Wyoming, the last trip is at 6 p.m. And I've seen people after church waiting out there for the bus, and it's not going to come. So we want those routes to that don't go early or late enough on weekends to have that earlier or later service. So the routes that do run late night and some run 24 hours a day, nobody's taking anything away. All of these service changes are additions to service. So the earlier and later trips we're adding are additions to service.
And just a comment, Mr. Patrick, you're muffled a little bit, so just FYI.
Yeah, I still got the you know what? Yeah, it's
okay. Mr. Joy, can you talk just in general about the availability of parts? How big of an issue that is on vehicle availability?
Good afternoon, Joe Joy, Interim Assistant Director of Maintenance. So we have a various parts contract to procure bus parts and the diesel and hybrid buses and the electric buses. We are gradually seeing an increase of usage of the HVAC, the heater components, since the majority of the transit agencies are started doing the campaign. So some of the heater cores and some of the filters are seeing a long lead time on it. And overall, in the diesel and hybrid vehicles, in the 30 to 60-day window, we are started getting parts. And for the electric buses, we have a Proterra, now newly called Phoenix Motors. We are seeing a significant lead times due to their current financial situation when they filed the bankruptcy. And some of the parts mean 8 months, 10 months lead time to get those parts in. So that's the overall trend currently in the market. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Just to dispel any rumors that may be out there about Rosa Parks, DDOT is not shutting down Rosa Parks. We knew that once we opened up state-of-the-art Jason Hargrove Transit Center, that the attention would then shift to Rosa Parks Transit Center. Basically, Rosa Parks is scheduled to be closed from 12 a.m. to 4 a.m. for deep cleaning. We have had some security issues at that location. There's essentially two levels of security right now, one provided by Detroit Police Department, 24/7, 365. And then we also have our own in-house service guards, but we've identified that there still are some gaps in coverage. So we're in the process right now of putting together a procurement to supplement the service through an outside security company. That's in the works. We hope to have that on the street and begin to supplement that service provided by DPD and our own in-house service guards before the end of the year. I would appreciate, Mr. Verse, particularly, if you find out from people or if you yourself observe it directly off hours when it's closed down, please don't hesitate to send me an email. I think you also have my phone number. I want to make sure that that facility is open as often as it needs to be.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Verse. The next hand up is Billingsley. Billingsley? Oh, we can hear you now. Go ahead.
Okay, hi. My name is Kathy, and I was brought to this meeting by Cunningham. And my concern is about the Metro lift issues. Can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead with your comment.
Okay. All right. Now, I'm concerned because right now I've had an issue with the dispatch services. It's hard to get into the dispatch to get your return ride. And if this is happening now, how will this affect the same day schedule?
So can I ask a little bit more specific? So when you say, are you calling in on the Where's My Ride line to find out?
Right, like you call in and they say, well, they'll give you like a 30-minute, you have the shift, they're gonna pick you up at 2 o'clock to 2:30, okay? And then you call back at 2:30 and you can't get back into the dispatch again. You can't reach anyone. So I'm wondering, how is this going to affect the same day schedule?
Let me have somebody from Paratransit answer the first one on the Where's My Ride line. I just want to make sure that that you're connecting to the right prompt in the telephone system for that Where's My Ride, because that should not be an issue of being able to not only connect with a Where's My Ride agent, but also they've got the EcoLane scheduling software system right up in front of them, and they can literally pinpoint where that vehicle is. So can somebody just go through that Where's My Ride feature of the telephone system so we make sure that we're connecting correctly?
So this is the first issue we've heard about issues with the Where's My Ride line. The Where's My Ride line is open 24/7. We have agents manning it during all of those hours. So if there is an issue getting in to the Where's My Ride, I would suggest to call in and speak with customer care. I believe it's option 4, and let them know that you're experiencing those issues and we can get them addressed immediately.
Okay.
And that was DeMarcus Garrett, who's our manager too for Paratransit. The other thing that I would just mention is the fact that DDOT Paratransit's operating at greater than 98% on time. So the number of trips on any given day, and we all look at those numbers every day, it's less than double digits on the number of trips that run late. And I recognize that if your trip's running late, doesn't matter what the total number is, but the good news is DDOT Paratransit's operating at 98% and above Monday, or actually Sunday through Saturday. As it relates to the same day service, just to go over that briefly, it will literally be same day. So it'll operate from 5 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Saturday. Eligible individuals will be able, and eligible individuals are those people that are either currently certified on the ADA service or in the future can be certified eligible on the ADA service, will automatically be eligible for the same day service. Basically the way the same day service will operate, it'll be its own standalone distinctive service from the ADA service. It'll be called DDOT Now. Eventually, we'll rebrand the ADA service to DDOT Advance. And the way the same day will operate, anybody can call in after 5 a.m. in the morning, request a ride. And if we've got capacity, you'll be able to get a ride within 60 minutes. The other thing about the service, same day versus the ADA, it will not be shared ride. So it'll be origin to destination directly.
Okay, so this is going to begin January what?
Monday, January 6th is our target date if everything goes according to plan as it relates to evaluation of the technical proposals and pricing proposals, and city council approval happens in due course. Our target date is Monday, January 6th.
So will the prices on the ride go up?
Same fare that we charge on paratransit, $2.50 per one-way ride.
Okay. All right. But I have experienced it's hard to get back into the dispatch during the evening and the afternoons after 2 o'clock. You're really busy. You can't just go busy. Every time you call it, it's just busy.
And if I can mention one other thing, one of the things that we're hoping to have rolled out in short order is IVR technology, as we mentioned previously in the presentation. We hope that'll take some of the pressure off of the call center, off the telephone system, because of the alerts that are being presented to people day before and in near real time. And then Miss Roby, Tanisha Roby, who's our Assistant Director for Administration, one of the things she's working on right now is increasing the number of users for the mobile app. And as we begin to expand that user base on the mobile app, that will require fewer and fewer calls into the call center. So those two things, IVR technology and the mobile app, we hope takes pressure off the call center.
Right, because the call center seems to be a little overwhelmed right now.
Ms. Billingsley, that is time.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Renard, yours is the next hand up. Renard, are you available to make your comment?
Sorry, it took a second to unmute.
Go ahead.
Bernard Mashensky. I'm with the Detroit People's Platform as an organizer for transit and District 6 resident. I wanted to thank the department for its shelter installations, especially on West Grand Boulevard off of 2nd. And just wanted to know the status of the ARPA projects with the shelters, the stops, and the transit corners that you all were trying to innovate. And then part of that money was supposed to go towards improvements for Rosa Parks. So what is the status with that? But really, I'm particularly interested in where the shelters are being placed in the seating. And not all stops are going to have shelters. I understand that, but we need more seating, at least at many of these stops. And I'm wondering if you guys are considering equity. So not just the main routes and the main thoroughfares, but also neighborhood areas as well, too, because people still need to sit or have respite in case there's rain or elements. The other issue or question that I have with DDOT Reimagine, in terms of a plan, is there going to be a timeline as to what is going to get implemented in DDOT Reimagine? And I know this is all contingent upon getting the drivers for their service above 70% on time service. So my next question is, can you clearly convey to us what are the obstacles that's preventing DDOT to getting to 90% on-time service for the fixed line, and just clear, non-technical language and just being transparent with us what is actually going on and how could we possibly help as riders as well too? Is it the lack of parts? Is it the lack of buses or drivers? It kind of seems unclear. And I want to promote the use of probably 3D printing to get our parts as well. That was something that Larry brought up with City Council, and there was some interest in that regard as well to help your operations.
So if I can answer the last one as clearly as possible, drivers and vehicles, primarily vehicles right now, We're about 19% below our service standard of 85% on-time performance. About 7% of that are drivers operating early. About 12% of that is service operating late. As I mentioned earlier, the steps that we're taking through the Service Reliability Committee, what we're doing through the control center, i.e. dispatch, what we're doing through the service monitors. Right now, the biggest issue is vehicle availability. That's as clear and transparent as I can make it. I'm not sure. I know in the previous presentations, we actually listed where the bus shelters will be. I don't know if it makes sense. I don't know if that's published somewhere or if it makes sense to bring that back in the October presentation.
That would help.
So that people have a better idea of exactly where those 60 shelters for this year are scheduled to be installed. That might be helpful as well.
Yeah, and speaking to that, I'll make sure that that can be available.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Hondor.
In November, right? Because we had the hearing first.
And Mr. Staley, if you'd like, I can answer the question about the progress on the projects itself.
Yes, please.
Sure.
And I know you've got some things in the works too for Rosa Parks. That'd be great.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, so Renard, totally hear you loud and clear. I mean, it's partially a bandwidth issue. I mean, we have a drumbeat that we have to march to when it comes to the number of projects that we're working on at a particular time. If you kind of imagine Jason Hargrove, Coolidge, 60 shelters, 100 shelters coming up now. And on top of that, we are looking at an onboard camera bus system, as well as installing an upgrade to our fare boxes. We actually have plans when it comes to the transit hubs. It's going to coincide with, I kind of mentioned before, the SS40, the safety program that DDOT has going on. So we don't want to duplicate work. So we're kind of coordinating with them on that particular front. The seating, we're trying to find the best solution for that. It's not as, unfortunately, it's easy when it comes to procuring something that's universally acceptable to all of our community when it comes to using it. So there are a lot of ideas. Benches are not as easy as one is to first consider, but that is actually one of the front runners when it comes to what we're going to put out there. Those are all some of the things. I mean, I would say that as a whole, I think we're seeing a lot of good things, when it comes to that. Some time frames wise, though, we are looking at trying to wrap a lot of this up before the end of calendar 2025. Rosa Parks is next on the list when it comes to what we're going to do and getting a team out there to engage the community as well as improving it. So kind of speaking to Mr. Versa's question, no, we are not closing it down. We're actually going to do the opposite of it. We're going to improve it. But yeah, we are getting to that point right now and taking off on that.
Okay, and I can speak about DDOT Reimagine pretty briefly. Can everyone hear me? Okay, so all of the improvements we've been making, whether they're span improvements, frequency improvements, capital improvements, shelter improvements, facility improvements, all of those are moving us in the direction of DDOT Reimagine. They're all consistent with DDOT Reimagine. To actually get to DDOT Reimagine, we would need to have 900 bus operators, and we would need to be able to utilize our whole fleet that we have. So it's going to be a very gradual thing. Mr. Staley mentioned we just got over 500 bus operators. So we're more than halfway there. So as we get more operators and more vehicles available, we can start implementing some of the realignments in groups gradually, a few at a time. So some of those will probably happen later this year. I mean next year, like around maybe April or June. So stay tuned. There should be some exciting changes coming up.
Thank you, Renard. Miss Marguerite, your hand is the next one up. Miss Marguerite, are you able to make your comment?
Yes. Hello.
We didn't quite catch that.
Look, that is what the
Okay, where on Second? Whoops, it just went away.
You got it, Kristen?
Where on Second and West Grand Boulevard, on which side? Are you talking about a shelter?
yes. Yes. Because
The one that we had up, did Jonathan have that information?
I think
Yeah.
the one that we showed was on Rosa Parks and West Grand Boulevard.
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry.
So what do we currently have at that location? Anything?
it's a state building and new Center One building.
I'm sorry, Miss Marguerite, we're having trouble understanding.
Okay. Then, okay. One side of West Grand Boulevard and Second Avenue. Because of the color building, they were not allowed to stop the color building.
And she's saying they wouldn't allow the bus stop there.
No, it used to be one there before they put the barricade.
Oh. Okay. Are you talking about Henry Ford Hospital?
The chat, Jamie Jr. is saying new center Fisher building is their only shelter, Scotland, new center. But it says,
Yes,
okay. You said yes?
correct.
Okay. So then the new center area.
Okay.
Yes.
There might have been a typo in the locations then. I'll make sure to update that. I apologize.
Yeah, I think she's asking which corner is gonna have the new shelter over there.
Okay.
And yeah. Wait a minute. Yeah. You'd be able to put that the character that was the Henry Ford Hospital. Did you get that?
Are you asking if there's gonna be a shelter by Henry Ford Hospital as part of the plan?
Yes. Because they shut down about 3 weeks ago.
Right.
Yeah, that's all
So
of health project.
So Ms. Torrance has the map. If we can, there's been enough questions about bus shelters. If we can put that up and then
Hey, Bami, are you able to share?
that may be
Yeah, I think
helpful.
so. Yeah, give me one.
okay, yeah, if you could share that map, and I'll comment on Henry Ford real quick. We did have planned to put a shelter at the Henry Ford Hospital going eastbound. I believe there's one westbound too. I'll confirm that. But it looks like their construction ended up being a little bit further. So we're in some talks right now with Henry Ford Hospital Construction to make sure that we are accommodating to the customers at the same time. While also making sure that the current bus stop that was restricted for a little while, we made sure that we went out there and had that expanded so that there's a good access to the stop. So, and I do want to reiterate that with this map, these shelter locations were chosen through the Title VI standards and through the point system that we have. I hope that answers your questions.
So Ms. Torrance put up the map.
Yeah.
And then do we also have a description of the location? So I get the map. We can see it by district, but obviously it's pretty indistinct. So do we have actual locations that we could put up on our website or whatever that would have the map and then the actual physical location?
Yep, we do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can get that up on the website in the next few days. So next time we talk with everybody, there'll be more specific questions that can be asked.
Of course.
Thank you.
Well,
I don't, you asked about the Shane bus?
Did you hear about the Shane bus?
I don't think so. What's with the Shane bus?
Okay, I just let's get the ADA current data and yes, the same bus did not come until 2 hours later. 2 hours later, because I waited but the same bus is him from him. Two buses that not die and not one came back until 2 hours later. And this was the Tuesday.
So Miss Junior had put into the chat that the Shane bus was 2 hours late, and then Miss Torrance was asking if we knew what day and what time frame it was. I'm not sure if that was today or some other day.
Tuesday. It was Tuesday afternoon between 1:55 and 3:30.
Okay. Thank you for letting us know, Miss Marguerite.
I think Mr. Mallett, were you going to address?
Yeah, let me, good afternoon, Ms. Marguerite. This is Andre Mallett from DDOT Operations. I believe you said Tuesday between 1:55 and 3:30 p.m. We had a 2-hour gap in service, and let me try to investigate to kind of clearly understand what was going on so I can give you a better explanation. And you can either reach back out to the department, but we'll definitely get the answers and find out what was going on for you as soon as possible. And if I have the date and time wrong, you can forward the correct information because I want to start the proper investigation.
Thank you, Mr. Mallett.
Okay, thank you, Miss Marguerite. The next hand up is a phone number ending in 351. Phone number ending in 351. Okay, the next hand up is Jamie Jr. So whomever can unmute.
All right. Good evening, everyone. I hope you can hear me.
We can.
Great. First of all, I want to thank Mr. Staley and Mr. DeMarcus on all the improvements to paratransit. I'm excited to see what comes out of DDOT now and the rebranding project. I'm hoping to see some hybrid buses or some more environmentally friendly buses coming through the vendors soon. My comments center around bus frequency. It seems like the Plymouth bus is like only running once an hour. On that bus route, lots of people go to work out in Livonia. There are schools out that way, where people are trying to get their kids. I want to know if there are any plans to improve the frequency on that route. Thank you for also putting shelters along that route. I travel that route frequently, and I often see people trying to lean up against buildings or sit on walls and things. And that's unsafe for the merchants as well as the citizens riding the bus. We may want to look at putting some seating that way. The other thing is I'm excited to hear about the IVR. I would like to see digital payment for paratransit. That would be great. So folks can have a record of the money they pay. I mentioned before, for individuals with entitlements, sometimes we have to show receipts of the monies that we spend for going to and from work or to and from medical appointments. So that would be very helpful. Thank you.
Mr. Patrick, can you talk about Plymouth a little bit?
Yeah, I believe we've already improved the Plymouth route during the peak times. That means the morning and afternoon commute periods. It's on that list of routes where we went from 60-minute to 45-minute service. We've done that on most of the hourly routes. So the next step in the future would be to have maybe 45-minute daytime service, like what you see we're doing. Gradually, we improve the peaks first, and then later on we fill in the gaps in the middle of the day.
This person came on. I was supposed to push a button.
We're gonna come back to you.
Yeah, that's all I got.
Okay. Thank you, Jamie. The number ending in 351, if you can go ahead and make your comments now.
Yes, my name is Joyce Hall, and I used to work at Frank Murphy, which is closed down now, and I go to the Community Justice Center at 5301 Russell. I'd like to know if you can put a bus stop closer to the building so I don't have to walk all the way down to Warren where the shelter is. If you just put it on one of those telephone poles there to help me, because I have arthritis in the hip and have a hard time making it to that bus stop to get the 12:30 bus. And if you can, I don't know if they'll allow it or not, if you could put just a bench, the 3 or 4 seat bench along there some kind of way. That would really help me because I just be in so much pain trying to get to that bus stop. And also I had to change my time at work because the Russell bus gets here after 8 and I have a 15-minute grace at work, but I don't get there till 8:35 or 8:40. So now my time is 8:30 and then I have a 15-minute grace.
Hi, can you tell us exactly what building you're trying to get to on the Justice Center campus?
Say that again, please.
Tell us exactly what building you're trying to get to at the Justice Center.
You're trying to get me to 5301 Russell.
Okay, so the Russell bus should have some stops that are closer than the Warren bus. Because the Warren bus is only on Warren. So, and we wouldn't take the Warren bus off of Warren to Russell. So, but we are in the DDOT Reimagine plan, we are adding the 52 Shane bus to Russell Street, which will give you more frequent service. That would happen sometime next year when we get around to making those improvements. So, there should be a bus stop on Russell that's closer to your building. And as far as putting a bench there, the sidewalks over there are wide enough to meet ADA specifications. If we add, to add street furniture, so that's why there's no street furniture out there.
Okay. You see, I catch the Jefferson bus to the transit center, and then I wait on the Russell. It's convenient for me that way, because if I did the way that you were speaking of, Jefferson to Woodward and Woodward to Warren, I still get there after 8:30. I've done it before just to see, by me being new over there, because the building opened up September 3rd, but I was there a week prior.
So when you take
So I was trying different ways to get there,
Yeah.
But
Russell bus, is there a stop that's close to your building?
Say that again.
When you take the Russell bus, is there a stop that's close to your building?
No, I have to walk up to Warren at the DOT headquarters. That's where I go.
There should be bus stops on Russell that are further north.
There are no bus stops on Russell.
We may have to take this offline if you want to give, we can reach out as far as see if there's other trip planning that we can do. If you can put your information in where we can reach out to you, or you can email us or call us.
I will.
Okay.
I can email you tomorrow.
Thank you.
And explain it more in detail.
Okay, and we'll
That'd
make
be
sure the right
helpful.
people get it. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
And thank you for your time.
The next hand up is ADG.
All right, hello.
Hello.
I think this is my second time coming to a meeting. I came to the last meeting, and I started coming because there was an issue with the Dexter bus, and it hasn't been fixed. And I actually have been passed up twice this week by drivers who are not normally on the route at the Greenfield and at the Greenfield stop. There is not a Dexter sign on the Greenfield route anymore. There used to be one, and when a car crashed into it and they put the sign and the pole back up, they decided just to put a Greenfield sign up. Now, this was during the time that there was talk about changing the 16 route to go to Myers. That route has not been changed, so why isn't there a sign? And when I caught up with the driver who passed me up, because I caught the Greenfield bus and caught him at Outer Drive, he told me he was instructed not to stop at that stop. Now, my normal driver and every other driver stops, but this particular week I was passed up twice. And the second time I talked to the driver and I explained to him, I said, I've been catching this bus for 2 years at the same stop. And so he agreed that if he sees me, he'll stop. Also, what's going on with the advisory committee? I sent in the application, hasn't gotten word back, yes, no. And also, I believe there was talk about a BRT route on Jefferson. Is still talk about that? And also, one last thing about the 16 route, the ending point. Where is the ending point? Where is the last stop before it gets to 8 Mile? It used to go straight down Greenfield across 8 Mile, and there used to be a stop in front of the pawn shop. There is no stop there anymore. Some buses continue straight. Some buses go down the service drive and will make that stop there across the light. Just need to know where there are no bus stops. There are no signs out. So the drivers don't know what to do. We as passengers don't know what to do. So we would like some clarification and some signage. Thank you.
Hey, can you tell me the exact corner that bus stop is on where you get passed up? Exactly what corner and what direction?
I can give you the actual sign. The route ID is 6094.
6094?
Yes.
So you say it has a number 10 decal, but not a number 16 decal?
Exactly. And it used to have a 16, and when the pole got knocked down and they put the sign back up, they just put a 10 up, and there isn't a 16 on there anymore.
That may be an easy fix. Okay. 6094. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'll speak to you're talking about the service improvements on Route Jefferson 9. So we are working on that project right now. Excuse me. We are planning on installing improvements to one stop in the fall, and in continuing on all the other stops that we have in that project in the spring, summer, and fall of next year. So that's 21 stops in total. We already have improved the service frequency on that route, and some of the stops will be changing to. You'll notice that they're before when the bus is driving, they're before the stoplight. They'll be moving to after the stoplight, so that'll improve the speed of the route as well. Okay. So still working on it, and it's coming. So thank you for the question.
Okay.
And Mr. Patrick, can you clarify? I think there was one more issue about where the endpoint was.
Yeah, it's really hard to explain where things are in Northland because all the streets are all screwy, but we do have a diagram and a bulletin, so we can go over that with Andre and make sure that Andre, if you find Gina in the office tomorrow, just have her go over that bulletin with you that shows where all the routes are going now in Northland. We had to move some stops around, and we moved a shelter. So it's kind of hard to explain where things are unless you're looking at the diagram. So we'll make sure if there's a need for signage somewhere.
There is a need for signage. Not there isn't. There's definitely a need for signage because the drivers don't know and the passengers don't know.
So we'll follow up on it with you tomorrow.
And Mr. Patrick, and for the caller, hi, this is Andre Miller from Operations. Could you give me that exact location again? Because I need to know if that's in the city of Detroit or Southfield or the municipality.
Okay. So the Dexter bus used to go straight down Greenfield, cross 8 Mile, and then go into Northland. So the last stop was on Greenfield before 8 Mile, where the pawn shop is.
Correct.
Still on the Detroit side. They took that sign down, and then the buses started to go down the service drive. But there is no stop on the service drive. So some buses stop, some buses don't stop because they say there's not a sign. And then some buses will continue to go down Greenfield. Like all buses don't do the same thing. It just depends on which driver you have. So you don't know whether to get off at that last stop before you get to James Cousin, or do you ride the bus hoping that the bus stops at one of those at what's supposed to be one of the last stops.
That's right, exactly. Okay, understood. Yeah, so that is definitely an issue that we can get resolved right away. We do need to get some clarification as relates to what the last stop is and what the first stop is. So we'll get with our OTC, our training division, and with our service inspectors that's out in the field to ensure compliance with our proper routing. So that's something that we can get a resolution on. I do identify that there's definitely a concern, and we'll meet with our scheduling department, as Mr. Petronik just stated, and make sure that we have the proper documentation to disperse amongst all of our employees.
All right, sounds good.
Thank you. Farai, yours is the next hand up.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Perfect. Thank you so much for this opportunity to come on here. My name is Farai Gundan, and I'm a founder of a Detroit-based startup that is innovating at the intersection of mobility, specifically public transit, fintech, and climate. And I've been listening into some of the questions, and I believe we are looking to solve some of those issues, particularly when it comes to payments. We are actually incubated at Michigan Central and ULab, and really have had the privilege of having gone through the TechTown ecosystem. As someone with a background, a master's in public administration from Harvard University, I dedicate time each month to serving on local transit boards, specifically the Transportation Riders United, where I'm very, very active. But I also spend time attending a lot of the mobility service providers board meetings like I did today for the RTA. I firmly believe that understanding the real challenges faced by mobility service providers and public transit systems such as DDOT really helps drive innovation that we develop, and especially local innovation, because we're pretty close to both you and the users of those transit platforms that you provide. So while virtual sessions have become vital, especially post-pandemic, I really do see great value in the possibility of hybrid engagements. I believe the first speaker on the public comment did bring that up, and I just wanted to reinforce and reiterate that. And as I've listened to the questions that have come in, whether it is real-time data of transit or payments where you give an accounting of the paratransit, this is where we believe we can actually pair up and provide relief to DDOT. I see that Rick and Steve are on here. So for someone like myself, and really for the other transit users, it would be really wonderful to have in-person or hybrid, so we can actually be able to follow up either in person or after the session with some of the questions, but also to some of the innovations that may be coming from the local tech ecosystem. Really
that is time.
Okay, thank you so much.
If you want to put your contact info in the chat.
Absolutely.
Okay, but I did want to end off by saying thank you, Mr. Staley, for your leadership and the entire DDOT team for your unwavering dedication to providing excellent transit services in our city. And I know that there are gaps, but I would really see the efforts. So really thank you to you all.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, and we will start working on the hybrid meeting before the end of the year. Obviously, that's very important to any number of people.
Okay, great. Lucas, yours is the next hand up. Okay, we can hear you, but you're kind of fuzzy. Try again. Okay, let's go to.
Can you hear me okay now?
There we go.
That's better. That's better.
You can hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Hello, can you folks hear me?
We hear you. You can
go ahead.
Okay. So I'm Lucas Lisecki. I'm the engagement specialist at Transport. Questions about the Rosa Parks Transit Center. I know this was mentioned earlier with I think it was Mr. Verse who spoke about improvements and some rumors surrounding it. I've been there a couple times in the past week or so, including today, and I noticed that the interior seating area is completely roped off. There was no seating available inside the building, and I think at one point I saw a woman get chased off by a DPD officer for trying to sit there. I think this is a little concerning, especially with the hot weather out, that everyone's being forced to sit outside, and the perfectly good seating that's in there is just roped off with no apparent explanation. But I think that plays into a wider question of, I know it was mentioned by Mr. Hondorp and Mr. Yamakura that after Hargrove has been completed, there was some rumbling about making some improvements to the Rosa Parks Transit Center. And one major issue I think should be addressed is that a large portion of the canopy roof is just gone. It has been for months at this point, I think even over a year. And I think with that specifically, but I'm wondering when DDOT plans on fixing that, but I'm just also wondering from someone at Capital Projects if there's any sort of timeline we can expect to see those improvements to Rosa Parks being made on. I mean, I know lots of other things that need to be considered, some of the shelter improvement projects at Jefferson Corridor, but I'm just wondering how high of a priority is that, and when should we expect to see those improvements?
Mr. Lisecki, the next time I see you in person, I will share my pain about the canopy at Rosa Parks. June of 2023. Yes, it's the customization of that piece, that replacement piece has been, I think it would be easier to commission a frigate from the 1800s, full sail, full speed ahead. But the next time we meet, trust me, it's not an issue that that's on the back burner. We have discussions about that every week. All I can say right now is the piece has been customized, and I'm hoping that we're within 30 to 45 days of getting that southernmost section restored to where it was before. But it's taken way too long.
And to address the question about a timeline, we're anticipating that engagement is going to run probably till January. Design will follow. We'll see overall improvements through the end of 2025 in terms of execution and implementation.
So do we have a formalized engagement plan worked out for Rosa Parks?
We do not. No, that's
Okay.
actually part of the task order that we have that's going to be coming up. So it'll be a formalized plan. I can actually probably precede what the folks that are going to be doing it by giving a rough draft. So I think that can be something that I can bring to the next meeting to try to, set the stage for what's going on.
Yeah, so if I heard everybody tonight, it seems like Rosa Parks is the place to do the hybrid meeting. I'll let marketing and outreach decide if that's really the best location, but it might be the time also, knowing that we want to do it before the end of the year, to be able to do a bit of a presentation on the improvements that'll be in the works for Rosa Parks.
But in any case, we should expect to hear something about those plans before the end of the year.
Yeah, if we can make it happen, it'd be great to do a hybrid meeting at Rosa Parks, as many people suggested. And as the centerpiece of that hybrid meeting, be able to talk with some specificity on future plans for Rosa Parks in calendar year 2025. I think it'd be great.
Well, thank you. I'm really glad to hear that the roof replacement is going to be that soon. I guess it didn't occur to me that there'd be that much customization involved, but I suppose it makes sense. But I'm glad to hear of those things.
I confess it doesn't make sense to me, but it is not. It is nowhere near the back burner. Trust me.
I guess you're just dealing with some of the mistakes of the people who designed it, I guess. But real quick though, is there any answer to why the benches are closed off in the lobby at Rosa Parks?
No, that's the first I'm hearing of that. I don't know, Mr. Mallett, have you heard anything? Okay, we'll check
actually not. No.
We'll check that out. We'll check that out tomorrow. Thank you for bringing that up. Thank you for bringing that
Thanks,
up.
Mr. Staley.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Lucas. Stephen Boyle, yours is the next hand up.
Hello.
Oh,
Good
go
to
ahead.
see everybody. So I was at the public health and safety meeting. I got one of the agendas, and I noticed that a couple of the items I'm hoping went to the meeting of the whole and got approved. For example, the Neo Park transit contract for parts. I hope that got approved. And I'm also wondering about this increasing the Unified Work Program grant through SEMCOG. It looked like they needed to get 69,696 matching dollars from the city budget, and I'm hoping that that passed through as well. As a person that's riding the Dexter bus late at night, I'm getting out of work. I'm usually getting the 1 o'clock bus. And there's been a few times that I didn't quite get to Rosa Parks by 1 o'clock, and the next bus sometimes shows up at 2 o'clock, other times at 3 o'clock. It makes it very difficult. And I know that the bathrooms there at the transit center are closed to the public. And you said that that was between midnight and 4 o'clock. Is there any possibility that you could put some porta-johns or something that would allow people to have a public, something that would allow them to take care of their needs that late at night? There's an awful lot of people that are camped out on the cement benches around that space trying to find some shelter. I've seen Wayne Metro with a van down that way trying to help some people. They're not always there though. I know the city of Detroit sends some work trucks around to try to help people from time to time. We need to do a little bit better with those that are trying to find some shelter in whatever way they can. And the DDOT bus, the Dexter, is always full departing from DDOT, from the Rosa Parks Transit Center. So I think we need more Dexter buses running late at night.
Miss Davis, can you comment on the what was before public health and safety?
Yes, can you hear me? I've been having a little bit of technical issues.
I hear you.
Today. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, good. Yes. Oh, first introductions. My name is Stephanie Davis, Government Affairs Liaison for the Detroit Department of Transportation. Yes, the 2 contracts for parts, OEM parts was approved with a waiver, so they are effective as soon as they are approved by council. Was that the question, if they were approved?
Yeah, I wasn't sure if they got approved the next day or if they're going to be on the agenda for this coming Tuesday.
No, so they were on the formal session to be approved with the waiver this past formal session Tuesday. So yes, they will
Awesome.
be into effect and allow us to assist in that those 2 contracts will assist in the maintenance division. So yes, they were approved. The grant that you referred to, the United Work Program or Unified Work Program, that was approved. It is to assist, it is a grant facilitated through our partners at SEMCOG to assist our transportation planning. So that, yes, it was approved.
That's great. I'm glad to hear that. So if there's any way that we can possibly look at the frequency on the Dexter bus late at night due to the quantity of riders that are running, they're getting out of work. Many of us, we have restaurant jobs, and sometimes we're getting out of work at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, and then trying to get on that Dexter bus to get home.
Mr. Boyle, we
Thank
got
you.
it. Yep, thank you. We got it noted. Thank you.
Yeah, we can look at passenger loads late at night on Dexter. Thank you, Mr. Boyle.
Yes, thank you. Andre Bryant, yours is the next hand up.
Hello, can everyone hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, I'm Andre Bryant. I'm the chairperson of the Local Advisory Council. My question is as it relates to paratransit. I know it was mentioned about the interactive voice response system. Is that going to be to the point where we will be able to make our reservations through the automated system with our voice? And also, just want to know when will that system be implemented? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bryant. Ms. Roby, can you actually talk about the mobile app? Because the mobile app is where riders will be able to book and cancel trips.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, Mr. Bryant. My name is Tanisha Roby, Interim Assistant Director of Administration. Still very much involved on the paratransit side of the house. So to answer your question, no, you won't be able to make reservations through the IVR system. It's just to remind riders a day before and the day of when their driver is expected to arrive. But in the mobile app, you can definitely make reservations. I know Mr. Bryant and I have had several correspondence about when things aren't working with the mobile app, and I appreciate his feedback and helping us get things back up and running. Right now, you can't use the mobile app to book trips. It's not through voice though. It does have to be done through actually the mechanism you entering the information into the app.
Okay. Mhm.
Yeah, I hope that answers your question. I'm sorry
Yeah.
about that.
No, I was just thinking because I know when I book my medical appointments through when I take medical transportation, we had to do something like that. That's why I just got confused. I thought the IVR was something like that. Where you'll be doing an interactive voice where you speak through and then you speak through an automated system. That's what I was thinking about. Thanks and thanks.
Understood.
And a couple things, Ms. Roby, maybe next LAC, we can do a presentation on the mobile app. That'd be great. And Mr. Boyle mentioned the fact again that he has interest in sitting on the LAC. So I don't think Mr. Rambus or anybody from compliance is on, but if you could reach out to Mr. Rambus about Mr. Boyle and his application about the local advisory council, that'd be great.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Deontay, you said you wanted to speak. I'm glad that you spoke up in the chat because I was looking for you, but you should be able to unmute and make your comment.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
All right. My name is Deontay. I'm reaching out because I was actually calling DDOT to leave another complaint regarding what I kind of briefly heard, but I didn't really catch any resolve of it regarding what's going on with this 38 Plymouth bus. I've been riding this bus. I'm usually not used to riding the bus, but I'm on this bus for months now. Thankfully, I'm in a position where I'm about to be able to buy another vehicle. However, this bus is always having problems. If I had to honestly rate the drivers in the route itself, it'd probably be like a 2 out of 10. There's literally at least out of my work week of Monday through Friday, I'm late at least 2 to 3 days out of the week. This morning, I was late due to a driver that I don't even think I've seen before. Made a turn through almost at the end of my ride where I get off at Plymouth and Middle Belt. Before Plymouth and Middle Belt, a couple stops before, he actually turned behind a factory, went through the whole entire factory, took about 4 or 5 extra minutes. That normally I used to walk right to my job, which caused me to be late today. There's been numerous times where I usually get off around like 4:30 and catch the 5:15 bus, and I'm here till 6, 7, even 8 o'clock, and no driver wants to acknowledge DDOT's behalf. They still expect you to pay, which is wrong. I feel like nobody should be having to pay a fare, especially when you guys know that you're short with drivers. You're short on buses or having problems with buses. And two, sometimes the delay on not having a bus is not just an hour. I heard someone say, yeah, an hour before another bus. No, it's at least an hour. It's an hour between 1 and 4 hours for another bus. I've noticed, that a lot of drivers that's new on this route are also confused on their routes. There's been plenty of times on my way to work where I've had a bus stop and a driver get off the bus and call someone to ask where they're trying to go. To someone who's trying to get to work, and you got people who's trying to have kids to get to school, it's very unacceptable. So I'm just trying to get some type of resolution on this subject.
The factory is at designated trips only. So, have their shift changes. And they go to that factory.
Sorry, Steve, can you start over? Deontay, I only muted you because there was a lot of background noise, but Steve, maybe if you start over, we can hear that better.
So I can't think of the name of the factory, but it is in our schedule for specific trips during the shift changes at the factory. So if you catch one of those buses that serves the factory, it will not go to the regular end of line over by Costco.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll repeat what Steve said real quick. I have looked into this before. There are designated trips on that route that go to that factory. So the driver was actually probably doing the correct thing, and that is because there's trips that are going there specifically based on shift times for the factory. That might have been abnormal to you, but it is part of the route, and it probably took longer. So I apologize for the length of time.
And Dante, I'm Andre Mellon from operations. So I will be having our service inspectors out to dig a lot deeper into the tardiness or lateness of the route or service. But there are different route patterns, as was explained by Jonathan, that where the coach will leave the existing pattern to do a different pattern, but that is part of our normal routing process. To serve a different area. So it is a factory that's been serviced by DDOT for years, and we continue to service that one for a couple trips out of the day. And so you may have gotten a normal bus that does not follow that pattern, but on that maybe 4 or 4:15 trip, it will follow that pattern. I'm not sure the exact time, but there's different patterns that we actually service on the Plymouth route. In fact, I think, well, I don't want to quote how many patterns, but Plymouth is one of our routes that has several different patterns that we actually operate under. But having said that, we will aggressively look at trying to find out what's going on with the delay in service. I do apologize. I don't want to make excuses, but we do have to 100% do a better job with providing reliable service out there.
Much, Mr. Mallett. Mr. Travis, your time is up for tonight. And we are actually over time, so we do have to go ahead and close it out. But of course, you can reach out another way if you would like.
Thank you for calling in. And
Mr.
yes, Ayobami, everybody who had their hand up has had a chance to speak once. So I think, Mr. Director.
Once again, just thank you everybody for joining us tonight. Appreciate all the comments, and we will actively work on putting together a hybrid meeting before the end of 2024. So either in November or December. So thank you, Ms. Torrance. Thank you, Ms. Lukowski. Thank you, everybody at DDOT for your participation.
Thank you.